Let's look at 3 graphs that each have one endpoint, and let's examine the graph to determine its domain and range. Does this line have a limit to the left? No, it does not. It's going to continue to the left indefinitely, so none. Does it have a limit to the right? It does. There are no x values that are larger than 4, so our right limit is 4, and there's a closed dot at that point. You'll notice that all of our x values are going to be less than or equal to 4. And it's going to be x is less than or equal to 4 because it includes a point at x equals 4, which is indicated by the closed dot. Now let's do the range. Is there a bottom limit? There is. Our lower limit is -5 for the range. There's a closed dot at that point. Is there an upper limit? No, this arrow indicates that it's going to be headed up indefinitely, so none. If we examine our range values, we see that they are all going to be greater than or equal to -5. So y is greater than or equal to -5 because there is a closed dot. Let's look at another example. Is there a limit to the left? This arrow indicates that there is not a limit to the left, none. But there is a limit to the right. Our limit to the right is at 4. This is an open dot, which means it gets really close to 4, but we're not actually going to include the point 4. So our domain for this function is x is less than 4. And it's strictly less than because of the open dot. Now the range. Do we have a lower limit? No, we do not. There is none. This arrow indicates that it's going down indefinitely. And a top limit or upper limit. And we do at -1. You'll notice there is not an open dot at this point. It is part of the curve, which indicates that it is included in the range. We treat this as a closed dot. You'll notice our range values decrease from -1, and we're going to include point -1, so it is y is less than or equal to -1. In our final example with graphs with one endpoint, we want to see if there's a left limit on this graph. There is. Our left limit for our x values is -2, and there's a closed dot at that point. There is not a limit to the right. The arrow indicates that it's going to continue growing up and to the right. Our domain is x is greater than or equal to -2 because that closed dot indicates the -2 is included in the domain. Let's do the range by finding the bottom limit, which is here at y equals -4. We treat this as a closed dot because as it is part of the line, it is included in the range here. There's an actual point here at 0, -4. If it wasn't included, there would be an open dot there. Is there an upper limit? No, there's not. The arrow indicates that it's going to continue growing up. So our range includes y values that are greater than or equal to -4.